All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Coffee with Marcus and Mark, the #1 stock market show on Spotify and one of the most popular market updates on YouTube. In the show, we talk about what's happening in the markets and how we're trading them. Today is Tuesday, October 29th, and it's Coffee with Mark today. Stocks quiet ahead of big earnings and jobs reports this week. We have the busiest week of earnings with 150 S&P 500 companies reporting. Consumer confidence soars. Job openings are lower. Gold makes a new intraday high. Plus, we'll take a look at our open trades. As you can see, there's a lot to talk about, so let's go ahead and get started. And if this is your first time here, my name is Mark Hodge. I'm head coach at Rockwell Trading, and let's go ahead and get to the charts. The S&P 500 here yesterday finishing slightly higher, but it is a quiet kind of choppy back and forth week right now with a lot on deck. Let's take a look at a 5-minute chart and see where we were trading yesterday and also what's been going on today. The S&P 500 kicking off the week with a small gain, chopping around, going sideways during the morning session, dipping a little bit during lunch, and then choppy for the rest of the session. So although we finished higher, not a whole lot of movement, ending near session lows. And then today we actually gapped down just a tiny bit and then saw a quick 5-minute slide. But after that 5-10 minute start and lower move, we see that stocks rebounded, filled the gap, and actually moved higher. And right now, making another push up towards session highs. And a lot of this, coming before a 10 o'clock report, but also some follow through after. So we'll look at the economic calendar. The S&P 500 right now up 0.2%. The Dow is flat but positive, and the Nasdaq leading the way up 0.4% right now. Now, while we're looking at the charts here, we could take a look at some other movers here. The VIX falling, although there was a lot going on this week that could move the market. The VIX, or fear index, dipping a little bit, getting below 20, down 2% today. And this is a little interesting because the VIX does track S&P 500 options premium. So it basically means that option traders are betting on less volatility rather than more. If option traders believe that there will be more movement in the markets, which could be up or down, then the VIX is rising. If they believe there's going to be less volatility, then the VIX is falling. I'm a little surprised here. It could be that the VIX has popped a little bit and come off of these lows in previous weeks. But with the two biggest weeks of the year right now, going into this week with a ton of jobs data to be released, core PCE, we have big earnings, 5 of the Magnificent Seven reporting this week. And then next week, we have the Fed, we have the U.S. election. There's so much going on. I would expect to see a little more volatility priced in, but we'll see. Crude oil pulling back actually was up higher, but right now it's still up 0.25%, which isn't much for crude oil. Interesting to see that there isn't a much follow through after yesterday's big slide, which came because of the weekend and Israel's attack against Iran being not as bad in the sense that some big important strategic items like their oil fields or trying to target their nuclear capabilities were not targeted by Israel. Investors thinking, okay, maybe the tensions in the Middle East could potentially de-escalate rather than increase and become a bigger issue. And oil investors right now saying that, hey, that's probably the case. You never know. But right now, crude oil up just 0.25%. Gold actually making a new record high today. Look at this, gold soaring. Is this a flight to safety? Is it because the dollar index is down? Let's take a look with it's not down. So it's more of a flight to safety than actually a dollar-driven move here, because when the U.S. dollar is declining, gold tends to go higher. And when the US dollar is gaining and getting strength, gold tends to go lower. But in this case, investors picking up some gold ahead of the US election. Might as well take a look at Bitcoin here because Bitcoin also popping. So we're seeing gold and Bitcoin moving together here. A rally yesterday up almost 3%, today up 2.5%. So Bitcoin above 70,000, above 71,000, actually almost ready to hit 72,000 up as we approach the election. Yields are also higher. 10-year yields outpacing 2-year yields, 10-year continuing to move higher, which has traders believing that rates will stay higher longer, that the Fed might not be as aggressive with their rate cutting campaign, even if it continues, just not at a faster pace or with big cuts like 50 basis point cuts. And also potentially the policy of the next administration, whether it be Trump or Harris, not necessarily helping out the inflation fight with spending. We know that Trump wants to tariff a bunch of things, add tariffs to a bunch of things, and then of course Harris wants to spend money. Trump does too. Either way, whoever becomes the next president, right now investors are saying, hey, this could make inflation a little sticky or potentially make the Fed's fight against inflation a little more challenging. Now, let's take a look at the economic calendar here. And this is where we had a few reports today. Consumer confidence soaring, coming in 108.7. The expectation was a 99.5 rating. This reading was much bigger than expected, also bigger than last month. So consumer confidence high right now as we approach the elections. JOLTS job openings. This is something that the Fed keeps an eye on. JOLTS jobs coming down, and 7.44 million jobs open. The forecast was 7.98. But looking at the markets, it seems as though traders actually welcoming this news. And again, it could be that battle between the Fed and them targeting inflation, but also being sensitive to the job market. And if they're focusing on a weakening job market, they might be more likely to cut rates, even though there are some inflation concerns potentially because of the election. Now, let's also take a look at the earnings calendar here, because as I mentioned earlier and also yesterday, just a super, super big week for earnings. We had McDonald's, Pfizer reporting before the bell. McDonald's did well, but they are dealing with that E. coli issue, and that not helping McDonald's move higher after a decent earnings report there. But it gets busier today after the bell and also later this week. Alphabet reporting after the bell. We also have AMD and Visa, but all eyes are going to be on Alphabet, Google, formerly known as Google. Wednesday, we have some big companies, but the most significant, Microsoft and Meta. So investors keeping an eye on those two after the bell on Wednesday. And then, of course, Thursday, just in case you're looking for some more action, we have Apple and Amazon reporting after the bell on Thursday, and Friday we have a few more oil and gas plays. So a lot going on this week, and although it's been a little bit quiet and choppy, and the movements have been muted, this is going to be an interesting one. Let's take a look at some trades that we're in, and with WTF trades, we actually had a nice exit with 3M. So I traded this as an open below entry trade. I picked up shares at 125.20. Today I got out around 129.01. I don't remember the exact exit, but I got out at the open. This was a nice win for a couple of days. I passed on the original entry, traded some other stocks instead, picking this up as an OBE, open below entry, turned it into a nice winner there. So got out of this one. There was a news signal. Both Marcus and I decided to pass on this because GEHC Has limited data. We like to look back 5 years, and here we have limited data. So that was one reason to pass on this one. We did not get into it. There was an exit today that was not what I wanted to have happen. KDP, this was a stock that I traded based on a WTF signal. Marcus passed on this one. So I got into 3M. He didn't. Had a nice win there. And then I also got into KDP. He didn't. Had a stop out on this one with a move that was a little bit unexpected. But hey, so goes trading. We still have some open positions. AZN is a trade that Marcus is in, and GE is a trade that we are both in. We have Honeywell that we are both in, bouncing off of its 200-day moving average. We have IBM that we are both in, Coca-Cola that we are also both in, and then there is MetLife as well. MetLife hanging in there. So looking for some nice follow through to the upside. Most of these are down a little bit or just kind of chopping around, looking for some momentum, hopefully positive momentum in the right direction so we get exits. These are the open WTF trades that we currently have. Now, taking a look at some wheel trades, BP. Oh my gosh, BP, not the earnings reaction that I was hoping for. BP did report better than expected earnings, but their revenue was down. This is not what investors wanted to see, and BP down, opened around $30 a share right now, down $29.68 to $29.68. That is. So hanging on to this one, and we'll see if I decide to add to it based on my plan. But right now, holding off, waiting, and looking to see if we could get crude oil to see some upside here. That will definitely help. CSIQ had just a phenomenal day yesterday, up over 15%, just a huge day. But investors today decided, you know what? Time to take some profits. Again, I mean, this one's just going crazy. I didn't see any specific news to explain the big move higher. Maybe some short covering. Who knows? But today we're seeing a drop, given back about half of the gains that we saw yesterday. And CSIQ just continues to take us on a wild ride. Now, I did use some excellent charting skills, and I drew a support line today during our mastermind call this morning. Also, this real steep, nice, steady trend line to help this one out, to make sure that it knows the path. It just needs to work its way up this line. Definitely a more advanced charting skill that takes years to learn where to draw these lines. So I think I have it covered now, and looking forward to CSIQ popping after some profit taking today. Moving on, Halliburton down just a little bit, looking like it's found some support around 28. We're just shy of 28 right now. Coles is a trade that Marcus is in. I am not. Coles has been trading in a beautiful range for months now. Marcus has been able to get some premium on this one. Now he's waiting to sell calls again with a move higher. Nothing to do right now. Merck is one Marcus is in. I am not, dropping a little bit more than expected, but up slightly yesterday, up a little bit today. Marcus waiting to sell calls. UPS had a bit of a down day yesterday, and today opening lower, trading down to just about 134, and coming off of those lows. So turning positive for the day. Love that. And looking for this one to continue to move higher. I see here that I need to work on my drawing skills here to make sure that UPS knows that this is a support line, not a resistance line. And now we're good. Now we're all set there. UPS ready to take off and get up back to the highs that we saw after earnings. So these are the trades that I am in, and looking to see if we could have some positive traction and upside here. But if there is some downside and some movement after some of these earnings reports, I have an open position that I am looking to trade AMAT was on my radar today, and it looked decent, but started to rally a little bit. And that's one that I've traded previously, done well with, and I'll keep an eye on it. Also, seeing if there are any reactions this week to some of the bigger players reporting earnings. With that said, it's that time. That time that some of you hate to love and love to hate. It's dad joke time. And I'm going to keep with the Halloween theme because if you tell Halloween jokes any other time of the year, you just seem weird. So we'll continue with it. And this is where I have to ask, where does Dracula keep his money? In the blood bank. Oh, that was awful. In the blood bank. Well, you get the idea. With that said, I believe I might be doing coffee with Marcus and Mark, but just Mark for one more day by myself, and then Marcus will be back here with me. Hope you like this review discussing trades that we are in, but also what's going on in the markets. If you like the video, please give it a thumbs up. If you are new to the channel, please subscribe. And if you know someone who could benefit from these market recaps, letting you know what's going on in the markets and sharing a few ideas on how you might trade them, then please share it with a friend. Until tomorrow, happy trading, everybody.